Much has been written about the failure rate of early stage businesses. Some stats say that 60% of businesses do not survive beyond the first 5 years, and other stats say that as much as 90% of companies do not survive beyond the 5-year hurdle. What's not spoken about as often, in my view, is that very few entrepreneurs build scalable, transferable businesses. And what do I mean by scalable, transferable businesses or assets? I mean a business that have gone through the early foundation stage, through the growth stage, and have now begin to build systems that allows it to leverage its value proposition, where there is leadership capacity and where there is infrastructure that allows the founder to go from being involved in every aspect of the business directly to being more of a steward. In other words, having gone from doer to steward. And why is that important, you may ask? It's important from the perspective of being able to monetize the company or the business that you built, being able to attract private equity investors or private capital, and also building a business that is seen as an attractive asset to a prospective buyer, whether that buyer is in your industry or maybe a buyer that is outside your industry or someone that is just looking for a business to acquire. Now, there are many reasons for this particular phenomena, and I'm not going to go through all of those in this video. What I'd like to talk to in this video for the next while is about the foundation, the fundamental or the root cause for this particular phenomena. And I'm going to say that the missing link is about purpose, the aspect of purpose. And in this video, I'll explain why I believe so and why I'm putting that forward as the root cause. I'm going to lean into my own work. In my book, Wisdom That Builds, I speak a lot about purpose and founder identity, but I'm also going to lean on the work of two other thought leaders as it relates to our discussion today. And my hope is that you'll come away from this video with a fresh perspective on how to go about and think about building the scalable asset where you can attract private equity investors, where you can monetize your investment, and where you can go from being more operational to being more of a steward. The first person I'm going to be referencing then is Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek is an author, he's an organizational consultant, and a few years ago he popularized an idea called the golden circle. A powerful but simple idea. And here's the idea. It consists of 3 circles, the outer circle representing the what, and I'll revert back to that in a moment. The circle next to it representing the aspect or the perspective of how. And in the center of these 3 circles, we're talking to the why. So let me unpack that for a moment. So when we speak about what, we're speaking about our products, our service, our offering that we offer to the market and how the market then engages with our product or service. The next layer is the how, and this talks about the internal world of the business, the people we employ, the structures we employ, our capacity, our technology, and so forth. Here we might talk about our unique value proposition and how we are differentiating ourselves. Simon Sinek makes an interesting and perhaps provocative point in this golden circle idea, and that is the point that he's saying that very few organizations are genuinely clear on their why. They're not clear on their overall purpose. And so what does that mean? They then lead with the what, with the outer circle. They talk about the features of their products or service, the benefits to the consumer or the customer, the performance relative to the competition, and the credentials of their team and of the company as a whole. And how important that might be. The challenge is this: it does not create an emotional connection. Facts and figures do not inspire people. People don't truly buy into what you do. They buy into why you do it and how that then relates to their pains or gains, how the why of your existence, your mission, has an impact on their life and on their situation. The next person I'd like to then talk to is Angela Duckworth. Now, Angela Duckworth has done a lot of research in the area of resilience, and I think resilience becomes very topical in this conversation around building this scalable asset that is transferable. And she talks to a concept called grit in her writings. Now, grit is really the ability to keep going when things get difficult. And inevitably, things will get difficult. We started off talking about the high failure rate of early stage businesses. And again, grit becomes very important, resilience, being able to stick at it. More importantly, or as important, is the fact that very few organizations then go on to be these scalable, transferable assets. And again, resilience and grit becomes quite important. What I found interesting and innovative is the link between resilience and purpose in the work that she puts forward or writes about. The link between resilience and purpose. And here's the point. The point is that the most resilient people, the people who excel on the curve of resilience more than others, are people that are talented, but it's not because of the talent that they're more resilient. They are disciplined, but it's not because of discipline that they are more resilient. What keeps them going, what makes them more resilient, is this sense of purpose, of ultimate purpose. And here we're not talking about something fuzzy or something that is mythical. We're talking about something that is practical and actionable and gives them this fuel to keep going at what they do. What I also found interesting in her work is the fact that this construct about purpose is centered around two dimensions. The one dimension is the self-orientation. We're not talking about altruism. Human beings are wired to be self-interested. But what makes purpose real in the lives of these achievers or excellent achievers is another construct, and that is to be other-focused. So it's really about being self-orientated and also other-focused and bring that together. Let me unpack or color that in a little bit. So exceptional achievers in the work done by Duckworth in a range of fields, whether it's sports or academia or music or business or leadership, starts with a self-orientation, the ambition to be the best, to beat the competition, to hone their skills, to stand out, to make a name for themselves, to create wealth, to be the best leader out there, and so forth. But as they become more successful and over time as they mature, a shift takes place, a mindset shift takes place. Something changes. They become aware of the positive impact that their achievements have on the people around them, on their peers, their team members, their companies, and the society as a whole. The positive impact the achievements have and also potentially can have into the future. And I believe the same is true for entrepreneurs who go on to build scalable, transferable businesses, the aspect of purpose. As founders get better at what they do, hone their skills, hone the value proposition of their company or companies, they begin to see the impact that their work have, the positive impact that their work have and can have on the people that they hire, the employees, on the team members, on their clients and customers, on their business partners, on their personal family and the families of the people they work with, on communities and on society at large. Now, in my work, when I have conversations with founders, I believe, and I start with purpose as being foundational. I don't see it as something soft or abstract, but rather the first building block to build this scalable business that survives and thrives beyond the first 5 years and becomes more than a lifestyle business, however that important that might be, but becomes this engine of wealth creation and impact beyond themselves. And I have these conversations in 4 different buckets. I see purpose as being discovered through action and dynamic and context dependent. And therefore, these conversations are fluid and they are in these different dimensions. The first dimension I have conversations around is the dimension of values. The second one, I talk to strengths, personal strengths, and also assembling strengths around you as an entrepreneur. The third one is around passion, the passion that you have. And then the fourth one is around impact. So let's look at this briefly. When we start with values, what I'm really talking about here are simply your fundamental or core beliefs, your principles that you live by. And these are shaped by a number of factors: the society we bring in, our socioeconomic conditions as we grow up, our faith, our upbringing, our life experiences, whether that's in business or in another context socially. whether those experiences are good or bad, and how they shape us or make us more resilient. Values guide our behavior. They guide the decisions we make and the priorities we attach to different things. They act as an internal compass. Values are the things we refuse to compromise on, especially when it's easier to do so as an individual and also as a company in order to go get ahead and make money and beat the competition. But if we are grounded in our values, our choices will be different. And this is true, as I said, for individuals and for companies. Now, we often see value statements on corporate plans, in strategic plans, business plans, and also on the plugs of walls of companies, plugs on walls of companies, whether in boardrooms or entrance and wherever it might be. And that's certainly important. It's important for employees and people in the company and your business partners to understand your values and its stated values. But I think more important than that is to live these values. And how does that shape the type of business that we build? Firstly, let me share some ideas. The first one is, I would say, about leadership. The values that being values driven in terms of your leadership style. And also then building other leaders around you. So values determine the leadership behavior, the leadership culture in your organization. The second one, I would say, is around performance, how you manage performance when people have done well, to give them that feedback, but also when people have not met or your team haven't met the performance standards, to keep at those performance standards and to have constructive conversations to point out what went well and also what went wrong, and to take corrective action, and having that communication, open communication in your organization. The third one, when we talk about communication, is also about rewards. To be transparent about how your reward structures work, incentives work in your organization, how people are promoted, as it were, and that those reward structures or advancement structures in your organization is transparent, so people know what it takes to win, and they feel they can win together with you as the business owner or founder. The fourth aspect is about business partners. As you build this business out, your business model and so forth, you will inevitably have business partners or partners coming alongside in different aspects of the business. And I believe values are also important in this construct, to be able to be aligned with your business partners so that you build sustainable partnerships based on integrity and ethics and mutual respect, as an example. And ultimately, all of these things that I've spoken about before, driven by your values, inform the culture that you build as an organization. And ultimately, culture is the glue that builds, that holds your organization together, that makes it sustainable, makes it able to be resilient, to thrive amongst some difficult circumstances, and to build that culture of excellence in your organization. The second piece is about strengths. We're all differently gifted. None of us are islands, and I believe part of maturing as a leader is to be comfortable in your own skin, to be authentic and to be comfortable that, yes, I'm good at this, and in these other areas, perhaps I'm not as good. But it's best to work on our strengths. Strengths are the areas where we're energized about, where we create the most value, things that comes natural. Now, every person and every founder has a natural way of thinking, operating, being in the world. Some people are visionaries. They have a big picture of where the business can go. They might be charismatic and bring other people alongside the business, partners that can help this business to grow. Other people are exceptional operators. They are typically the people that sits alongside the visionary founder in this example and can translate this vision into an actual workable strategy and business plan and make things work. Excellent operators. Some people are deal makers at different stages in your business. You might have a catalytic project, or you may enter into an acquisition, and you have a different skill set of people that can negotiate, can make a deal work, and go away from that deal so that it's value enhancing. Some people are design people, interested and excited and passionate about innovation, about customer experience, and so on. Some people are great at marketing and sales, making it you're able in your business to grow your revenue, which is fundamentally important, and to grow your business. As I alluded to earlier on, we all have weaknesses and blind spots. And there's certainly value in being aware of those blind spots. And that's some of the conversations that I have in my coaching practice with founders and leaders. Powerful conversation to create awareness in a non-judgmental setting, because it's about really maturing and being comfortable in your own skin and not beating yourself up in terms of blind spots. And importantly, in identifying the blind spots, it gives us the opportunity to garner strengths around us by hiring people that can complement our strengths. I spoke about different giftings. To hire people and also to collaborate with others outside the organization in a mutually beneficial win-win value for value exchange, to build this scalable business based on a ecosystem where you have skills inside the organization and people outside the organization that you can draw on. The third aspect is around passion, and we're all interested in different things. Some people are more outward going, they like the outdoors. Some people are more inwardly focused and enjoy reading and developing themselves in that way. Some people are passionate about sports and following sports in different areas. Now, passion is this fuel that gives us the driving force to be able to stay with something, in this case, building this business over a long period of time amidst the challenges. And we see this everywhere. Consider the example of someone who is in obscurity, a young sports man or woman that has an ambition to be a global or the best at their global icon or the best at their sports. They start off by honing their skills, honing their talent, competing at a school level, provincial level, eventually national level, and eventually they become global icons, and they keep going even when they get the recognition, because their passion is to hone their skills, to be the best, to drive themselves, and to contribute. Consider also science, people in science and technology that is passionate about solving a particular problem. We've now seen the advent of AI, people passionate about coming up with new technology and taking things forward. Also, we might consider Steve Jobs, a legendary visionary founder who from an early age was passionate about quality, about aesthetics, how his products and services look to the consumer, how the consumer engage with the products, the ease of engaging, and being at the cutting edge of technology, coming up with new things, and also the passion to simply win and be the best at what it could be. I believe if we work in the area of our passion, we understand what we are passionate about, and we work in the area of passion, we are able as business founders to thrive amidst the challenges that will come. I spoke earlier about resilience and purpose. So passion will help us to be resilient as we pursue this business that we're looking to build. And finally, we can talk about impact. Now, impact is the difference we want to make as an individual and also in this context as a company. And it can take many different forms. Let's consider wealth creation, financial security for you and your family. We can talk about wealth creation for the people in your business, early joiners, part of your management team, and also the people that came along as equity investors in your business, partners in your business, so creating wealth together with other people as well. Job creation. In South Africa, we have a high unemployment rate, and the passion or the ability, should I say, to make a difference to someone else's life by empowering them with a job, helping them to develop a skill, and then growing their marketability and their leadership competency over time as well. I spoke about Steve Jobs. Now, the ability to provide products and services that truly make a difference in the life of the customer or the client is another area of impact that we can measure over time. Building enduring and mutually beneficial relationships. These would be value for value exchange. So building partnerships that are commercial, that are value for value exchange, that are based also on those values that I spoke about earlier on. Contributing positively to the development of your industry. So here would be coming up with new technology that others in your industry can also adopt. Also talking about thought leadership and many other aspects in terms of contributing to your industry. And then finally, by having this scalable asset that has a strong balance sheet, has cash flow, cash reserves, you also have the opportunity to then contribute to philanthropic causes. Here we can think about poverty alleviation, we can think about healthcare, we can think about education for the underprivileged, and therefore your business becomes this purpose-driven vehicle that makes an impact in the world out there. And so I believe as values, strengths, passion, and impact are integrated, purpose becomes real. It's no longer something that is mythical, that is esoteric in some instances, or is a once-off occurrence. It is dynamic, it is context dependent, it is discovered through action. Purpose determines the kind of business that you build. It determines your business model we spoke about earlier on, the business partnerships you pursue or not pursue, the human capital strategy from recruitment to rewards and development that you decide to embark on, how you think about capital raising through the business life cycle, what you raise the capital for, whether it's equity capital, preference share capital, or debt capital, and how you then steward that capital, and the systems and infrastructure you build in your business so that you can go from being the doer to the steward. So I believe before we ask about how do I scale and how do I build faster, how do I raise capital, which partnerships do I pursue, how do I think about hiring decisions, we should ask ourselves a much more fundamental question. Why am I building this business in the first place? What is the ultimate aim? I believe the answer to that question is instructive if we want to build purpose-driven, scalable businesses.